NTR Network. This is Kriss and Phenom here, and I'm here to talk to Phenom about the movie Hacksaw Ridge. It is a World War II American Army medic, Desmond T. Doss, who served during the Battle of Okinawa, refuses to kill people, and becomes the first conscious objector in American history to be awarded the Medal of Honor. This has a really. I looked at the cast and was like, wait, I didn't know all these people were in this fucking film.
Yeah, Andrew Garfield, Vince Vaughn, Sam Worthington.
Yeah. Hugo Weaving.
Yeah, it's. I mean, on screen, it's a full cast.
Yeah. And then I didn't name the director because we didn't do The Birth of a Nation because of the whole thing going on with Nate Parker, right? And my whole thing has always been like, hey, listen, I'll talk about a person's issues and still go see their film as long as they don't be a jackass, right? So, and I always was like, yo, Nate, just shut the fuck up, right? The director of this film is Mel Gibson. Now, Mel got a lot of issues between the pack of nigger shit, the anti-Semitism, the fucking beating his girlfriend at the time. Like, he got a lot of issues, but you probably didn't know that Mel Gibson had a movie coming out.
Nope. I didn't know he directed this until I saw directed by Mel Gibson, and I was like, at the end.
Right. Then you're like, son of a bitch, they got me.
He has learned to shut up.
Right. So, yeah, that doesn't excuse any of that bullshit, but sometimes you can trick people into seeing your fucking movie by just shutting the fuck up. Hey, Nate, maybe you should talk. Nate, if you want to keep working in the industry, maybe you should talk to fucking Mel Gibson. You problematic motherfuckers can work together and show how to shut the fuck up and just, because again, people will forget. And Hollywood will always forgive. So, shut the fuck up next time. So, anyway, I did not go to see this film. You did. Tell me about it, because I think it's been getting high ratings. It's supposed to be getting like Oscar buzz. Because the thing people forget about Mel Gibson, before his problems, the whole thing was Mel Gibson, trying to get into being a director and getting more, trying to get on this Clint Eastwood shit. So, yeah, what do you think of this film?
I mean, the ratings aren't a lie. It's had high ratings since it first dropped for screens for critics, and it's pretty much maintained that. I think it's sitting at like an 89 on Rotten Tomatoes right now. It might be higher, actually. It might be like a 93. And that's accurate. It is a good war film. It is a good film. And so typically when you get these films, you're like, all right, so there's going to be this soldier, and he's going to go through these hardships. Dealing with war, and this is about an old war, so you're gonna have to deal with watching that and all the politics that surrounded this one in particular. Off bat, I always wonder when Americans make films like this, how they're viewed in the countries where we're basically burning their people on screen alive. I think we've created them as the Japanese as the villain, and we use things like Jap and Chink and whatnot throughout the movie.
So it's nice to see that Mel Gibson has not backed away from his authentic racism, Yeah.
The racial slurs throughout this movie are evident, prevalent, and strong. Like, but
you give an Oscar for most and best used like racial slurs in the film? Because Mel Gibson's up there, like, you go back to the Passion of Christ, man. That's some really good racism and anti-Semitism in that film.
Yeah, there has to be an award for most embraced authenticity of a fucked up time period. And that's pretty much what is going on here. The thing about this film that I think I enjoyed and annoyed me the most is the white people in the film. Because there aren't black people in this film. This is not a black story. This is not our fight, even though we were over there. It's not really what this story is about. This story in particular is about this one soldier, Desmond, who has decided he does not want to touch a gun. He wants to go and join the military, and he wants to be a medic. He wants to save lives. He does not want to take them, which is controversial for characters like Vince Vaughn, who plays, I don't do war stuff, but plays Sergeant Howe, and for Sam Worthington, who plays Captain Glover. And Sam Worthington is a jackass piece of shit in this movie. He's an asshole. Until the end. He is awful Worthington. All right. He is Sam Uselington, or whatever you want to call him. Worthlesston. Like, he is an asshole. Vince Vaughn brings, as usual, his comedy, but it is a I'm going to be a dickhole to my troops comedy. So his introduction into the film is literally going into the bunker of Desmond and the other privates and essentially giving them names based off of what fuckery he caught them doing when he just randomly decided to walk in. I mean, one of them is naked, doing pull-ups. So he starts giving them names based off of that. And it's funny. Like, the way he comes up with the names is funny. His character was less controversial than Sam Worthington's character. Andrew Garfield can act. I mean, Andrew Garfield doesn't age, it seems, either, because they keep getting him to play these young-ass kids.
He's old as shit because he was Spider-Man, y'all. It's like he's old as fuck, though.
And in this film, because he's slim and doesn't age, he can continue to play Peter Parker in every movie. And this is Peter Parker Goes to War. So, with a country accent.
Yeah, he's 34.
Yeah. But he does not look it, nor does he act it in films. They refuse to cast him as a grown-ass man.
I am a boy.
A real boy. Like, he is Peter Pan at this moment. They will not cast him up. Like, he's never going to grow up.
Oh, man, you just made it, man. WB is going to make a Peter Pan movie, and it's going to be starring Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, he'll be the first man to play, be the first man to play Peter Pan in, like, 30 years. Because they typically only give that role to women.
Right.
But, flying vaginas and all. But Hugo Weaving actually plays Tom Doss, and the name is familiar to people reading the casting because Andrew Garfield plays Desmond Doss, so he plays his son.
Oh my God! Wait, so Andrew Garfield is playing the father of Hugo Weaving?
No.
Okay. I was gonna say okay.
He's playing his father.
Okay, I was about to say, wait a minute, is this a flashback shit? I'm like, oh my God, come on, man.
So the story essentially is that Desmond grows up in bumfuck country, and his father is abusive.
Trump country.
Yeah. His father is a war vet, and he is a PTSD war vet. He is abusive to the family, abusive to the mother. He goes on these drunk tirades. He is just an awful, awful person. And Desmond has a brother, and as a kid, they pretty much learn violence from their father, and they fight it out and shit. So the film opens up with Desmond pretty much fucking up his brother, and Hugo getting ready to fuck him up, because the violence is all trickled down Trumponomics. And they pretty much jump to later in the future, and they kind of show you the person that Desmond has become, because his mother plays that nurturing figure who is also abused. And they show him as an adult, and he's like really gullible. He's very carefree. He's all wide-eyed and bushy-tailed. And he finds this girl. So the first act of the film is him finding love, which there's really no reason to come back from war in any of these movies unless you got some pussy waiting for you. And that's pretty much how this movie sets it up. He has the best looking gal in town and decides once he done got him some that he's a man now and he should go join the war. And she's like, but the nookie right here. And he's like, I know, but I got to save my boys first. And she's like, well, God damn it. I'll wait, I guess. So he goes to war. And he goes because he wants to be a medic, like it's his calling. And this was during the time period where people were getting drafted. And really, to be a man in the white man's eyes, you needed to join the war. The second act is him actually going into the military for basic training and having to pass whatever skills test that is to become a medic, which in the third act, he's a medic. The second act is probably the most, I won't say it's the most dramatic. It's probably the hardest part to watch because he is better than the other privates. There's only one private that really is like trying to go for him, and because he dude's from the country, he climbs like rocks and mountains in the Blue Ridge for fun. So he's killing these guys on the courses and whatnot. But as soon as he decides he doesn't want to touch a gun, all hell breaks loose.
Wait, so was he not touching a gun before, or like was he always that way, or did he just decide?
He special case came into the military, which is a lie. If you walk into a recruitment office and they give you special privileges on paper, that paper don't mean shit when you get to basic training. And he came in with special privileges that he would join up and be a medic as long as he did not have to fire or touch a rifle. And as soon as he got there and he tells Vince, they go to, do gun training, Vince Vaughn is like, there's a rifle here and somebody needs to pick it up. And he's like, I can't touch it. And from there, all hell breaks loose. Sam Worthington and Vince Vaughn kind of go, come together like Voltron to get this guy out of there. They just don't want him there because they see him defying their love for the Second Amendment, and they just can't. They feel like other privates are going to start doing the same bullshit. So they put this kid through hell. I mean, they literally put him through hell for a good 20 to 30 minutes of this movie. And it's not as hard to watch as if you're watching like Full Metal Jacket or something, but it's hard to watch because there's no logic to what they're doing. He wants to be a medic and they're telling him, no, you need to kill people. And he's like, I don't understand what the problem is. I just want to save the guys on my squad. I want to run out there without a gun and bring people back home. And you're calling me a pussy for this because I won't carry a gun with my medic pack. And the whole act is just white people being mean to better white people. That's really what it was. I was watching it and I was like, this makes absolutely no sense. Like, why would you go to this much effort? And it's all about him, you know, being an individual. And that really was, it seemed frowned upon in the military at this time. And from there, you know, it just kind of goes off and there are all these different things that he's dealing with. And there's a huge harping in the third act on him talking to God, which isn't a bad thing because it seems that this was based on a true story. You know, and the third act is intense. The third act is a really, really, Saving Private Ryan intense. Mel Gibson did not hold back. If there's anything he can film motherfuckers being blown to shit up and being killed on the field. Like, think the way people died in Apocalypto, but with war now. Like legit guns and airstrikes and got C4. I don't know if it was C4, but like grenades and shit. It just, and the Japanese having they're like the swords on the end of their rifles, and Americans having flamethrowers. It is brutal to watch. They burn a lot of Japanese people in this movie. They set a lot of them on fire, and a lot of Americans are killed in some pretty vicious ways. It's a lot of death, and it's a lot of action, and it's a lot of graphic brutality. But it is entertaining, the story overall, because it's not a very complex story. There's a man who has particular convictions, and he feels like if he gives those up to appease these overzealously angry gun-toting army men that he wants to save, then he would be lying to himself, and he wouldn't be able to look his home nookie in the eye. So, I mean, it really is you kind of rooting for Desmond in this film. And Andrew Garfield is just a likable person, it seems, in general. He's a likable character in this movie. You know, he had a very country accent. He was, you know, a really small, frail dude. And he pretty much took everything on the chin. Even the fucked up moments during basic training, he kind of took them on the chin. They hurt. But he was a real turn the other cheek type of person throughout the whole movie. So, you know, him being a character you want to root for, in the end, it's a feel-good film. You know,
that's kind of weird saying that. As a war film being a feel-good. But I feel you. I feel what you're trying to say, though.
Feel-good film because you're rooting for him. But if you look at it outside of this one character that the story is supposed to be about, wars are awfully senseless. They're just awful. And the fact that people ran over, I mean, we all saw Saving Private Ryan. People died faster in larger mass in this film in shorter periods of time.
God damn.
You know, there were people, I mean, and Kriss, I mean, people were being thrown through the air and shit. Guys were crawling with their their abdomen and below missing. You know,
I'll put the ass if they had the infamous when dude got his arm blown out, was looking around for it and bent down and picked up his arm. So,
dude, it's worse. I mean, he saves a couple half bodies.
God damn.
You know, he saves a few torsos in this movie, and I'm like, we really gonna save this torso? Oh, that man's still talking. Okay,
Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah, he saves a lot of Lieutenant Dan in this movie. It is a good film, though. Like, it is undeniably, it is a good film. It is a feel-good film. It has its warm-hearted moments. It has good drama. It has really good writing. It has really good comedy, and it has a lot of serious scenes. I mean, I'm not gonna say I was on the edge of my seat, but I did not give a flying two shit nickel about this movie. And once it came on, I was like, oh, this feels like Butterflies. And then all the drama started happening, and I was like, see, fuck Trump, dog. And then the end happened, and I was like, and that's why black people don't need to be in the military, because only white people have a happy ending. So overall, this was a good film. I mean, outside of Vince Vaughn and Sam Worthington's characters, adding to the woman he ends up marrying, I don't know if that was Teresa Palmer or not. I believe it was. She adds I liked her character a lot, but the shining stars of this film were Andrew Garfield and Hugo Weaving. Hugo Weaving as just the tormented PTSD father.
Man, that's why I need him to come back. I mean, we're gonna do Doctor Strange later on, but that's why I need him to come back as a
Mr. Smith. What?
What was he? He was no. He was Red Skull.
Oh yeah, he was, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he didn't want to do it anymore though. So, but he was good.
He's an amazing actor. I mean, he was a slobbering drunk throughout this whole movie, and like how upstandish and just kind of pompous he can come off, just elitist. And in this film, he was just a disgusting drunk, just a slobbering, disgusting. At one point, I couldn't tell if he had a chin or not.
Hey, you mentioned him, but like how good or bad was Sam Worthington?
Sam Worthington was fine. I mean, the character he played was pretty straightforward.
Okay, because sometimes
he was a guy that saw Desmond as problematic and put him through some bullshit to try to make him leave on his own, and he was an asshole. He was the asshole. Vince Vaughn was the asshole that worked for this asshole, and this asshole worked for a bigger asshole. And that pretty much the film paints brotherhood through Andrew Garfield's actions and some of the other actions of the characters the other privates and whatnot, the soldiers that it tries to develop, which it doesn't do a lot of character development. Vince Vaughn pretty much, him naming these other privates is your only real introduction to them. Usually these war films, there's like a lot of scenes in the bunkers and whatnot where they're listening to music or they're having conversations and they're talking to each other. That doesn't really happen. This film does not have time for that. This film is like, look, we had a romance in the beginning. We got to get this unnecessariness of the military and not being able to take Desmond seriously as a soldier shit over with. And then we need the third act where we're going to kill all of these guys that y'all fell in love with for 5 minutes. And I think it did really good. I think the running time didn't make it feel that long. I think it stayed steady and it stayed consistent. And right, it's a strong 4 out of 5. Like, 10, we're doing on a scale, right? Yeah. It's like an 8.5, borderline 9 out of 10. It's a good film. It's a really good film.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised they tried to get it up for an Oscar nom, but I don't think it's like
Oscar nom worthy. You don't think Oscar winning worthy?
What was the film last year that was taking all of the awards?
Not The Revenant.
Oh my God! What about the newspapers?
I know what you're talking about. Spotlight? Was that?
Spotlight. Yeah, it doesn't hit you like Spotlight hit you. Like at the end of Spotlight, you were like, "Fuck." Gotcha. It doesn't really hit you like that, but you will be genuinely entertained. I think it's a really good film. Like, you won't be mad paying full price to go see this.
Cool. Well, there you guys have it. That's our review for Hacksaw Ridge. And you just lie to yourself and tell yourself that Mel Gibson did not direct it. You may be fine. Or for you're young enough to not remember all. Like, I had people remember the Melback music shit where he was doing the tapes of yelling at his girl. Like, man, right. we have better memories than everybody else, man. Cause I remember that. I did not forget that shit.
Because we podcast and we played that shit on the podcast.
Right. It was that was that was the hotness in the street at the time. You can find the rest of our reviews on movietrailerreviews.net or mtrnetwork.net. Search for Movie Trailer Reviews or MTR Network on iTunes or Stitcher Radio. Yeah, folks, thank you very much for listening. Until next time, we're out of here. Peace.